Hi guys. Nice to see you. There's this famous TV show or TV show host, and I think he's died now, but his saying was, "Nice to see you, nice." So if you're English, I'm sure you appreciate that. His name was Bruce Forsyth. Nice to see you, nice. So welcome to another online session, and tonight's session is called This Moment is Sacred live stream with Lisa Cairns. And live streams are done every Sunday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time, and you're welcome to join and ask questions. You ask questions through Skype, and my Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12. I don't look at the chat messages, so send a request on Skype, and you can see in the box below the information. If you struggle to find the live stream, then you can always go to my website, and it's always on my website on the live stream page. It's embedded in there. Or you can subscribe to my channel and press the bell, and then I think you should get email notifications of when I go live, but maybe you have to adjust the settings, I'm not sure. You're welcome to call into the live stream, but you have to make sure that you have a headset with a microphone in it, because if you don't, then the audio can get stuck and make funny sounds. So you need to make sure you've got a headset with a microphone in it, otherwise it's not very fair on the other listeners if you have really bad audio. What else? If you want to join one of my events, I've got a meditation coming up in a couple of weekends time on a Saturday, the last weekend of the month. I think I'm going to do that for the next 3 or 4 months, is meditations or silent sitting, whatever you like. So I think it's I can't remember what date it is. Let me go to my website and look. And meditation sounds really like a formal. Basically, what I do is I do 2 meditations during that hour and a half, and in the first half an hour or 40 minutes, I guide you through a bodily meditation, looking at the chakras and the body and putting the attention into the body. And then then I do a little bit of a talk, and then the next 40 minutes or so, it's just silent sitting. Or if you choose to do a meditation practice, you can. And so it's the 30th of June at 5 p.m. French time. I also have a retreat coming up in the south of France on the 7th of July 2018 to the 14th of July 2018, which you're welcome to join. Maybe you've never been to a retreat of mine or wondered what I do on retreats. I always change things because I like that, and it's dependent a little bit on the group. But what I normally do is I do about 2 or 3 hours work in the morning with people, and I normally do for 1 hour, the first hour, like a guided meditation or a guided silent sitting where you're going through the sensations of the body and seeing that really there is no body, but also getting to know your body. And then we have a break, and then for the next hour I do a talk, and every day there's a specific topic that we talk about. So it's the seeking self, or what is, or what creates suffering, the chakra points. There's different titles normally for each day on each talk, and that's normally about an hour and a half. And then in the afternoon I do another just silent sitting for about 40 minutes. That's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So you get to have 3 or 4 hours break. And then after that I do a questions and answers session where I work with people one-to-one. And then sometimes I also do sort of some writing exercises where people begin to get to know what it is they want. I see understanding what you want and understanding the difference between wanting and seeking is super important. So I'm often trying to get people to see what it is that they want and then see what it is they're seeking for. So I can sometimes do different exercises with that. And then in the evening, then we have dinner, and then in the evening either do a dance, a film, or like a group exercise or some music. And that's how the days look. And sometimes I do the days in silence. What I quite like doing is we have silence till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So you just have silence from when you wake up till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then talk in the evening. But I also like to be group led. So another thing I do is I sometimes just give people's badges, and if people want to be silent, then they can put on their badge. For me, sitting with people for 3 meals a day on retreat and talking for every meal is too much. I'm an introvert and I recharge by myself and alone. And for an extrovert, that's like heaven. They love that. But for an introvert, that's not nice. So I tend to like it when we have 2 meals in silence, but I always try to see what the group likes. And then just 1 meal talking in the evening, which I really like. So you sort of get to know people, but it's not too much talking. But it's different personalities, and I like to go with what people want a bit on that side, because some people come to meet other people in non-duality, and so being on silent retreat isn't so favourable. And some people come to be really quiet because they've got a really busy life. So I set it up in different ways to try to let everybody have what they want. I really love doing retreat. I really love working with groups. It can be super intense. Because often I do the retreats by myself, so obviously there's a team that does all the organisation and all the other stuff, like the cooking and everything. I don't do all that. So there's often, but often I do it by myself, which is can be a lot of work, because sometimes some people need extra help because they have a lot of stuff coming up or they have lots of reactions. So this retreat, there's a couple of other people on the retreat which are going to help me with those more personal dynamics that come up, which is nice for me, because it's hard to run all those sessions and then work with people individually if they're having lots of issues, and especially when it's lots of issues as well. And that I'm very energetical. Yeah. But I always feel with each retreat I'm learning and growing in that process with people of how to express this best. I used to think often that people came on retreat to more socialize or meet people, but after working with people a lot now, I see that's not the case for their motivation. I think it's really, what I think is really beautiful about retreats for people is firstly they do get to meet other people in non-duality, which I think is really nice to have a supportive group that you can remain friends with after the retreat. But the part that I think is super important is being out of your normal environment and being in this different environment and just really concentrating on the subject of not two-ness, of wholeness, that who you are is complete, and looking at more at what it is that you want, not what you've been told you should be or have to be, and not just constantly seeking to try to get enough money to pay the bills you have this week, to just look at what it is that you want and begin to trust that, trust the flow, and move away from the seeking energy and more into that natural flow. So often I advise people to go on retreats, and if they can't come on my retreat, then I'll often advise just to go on a meditation retreat, a Buddhist retreat, or anybody's retreat if they can't fit in and come to mine, because it's such a great place to be allowed to be what you are. Normally our whole life is about being who people expect us to be. Well, not me, because I live in the middle of nowhere, in a very remote place. So I don't have many expectations on me, except Khaleesi, who demands a couple of walks a day and some food. Online maybe there's expectations of me. So this is what's happening. This is what's happening. The seeking energy is always wanting it to be something else, and through that the identity forms, through this seeking energy. So the seeking energy imagines itself, I'm this body. Oh, poor E. Are you still upset? You have an amazing memory to remember that you're upset. Oh, poor Khaleesi. So this seeking energy imagines who it is. So it imagines that it's somebody in time, a body in time, and your thought processes are always about what you have to get to, what you have to be in time, where you have to go in time, what you have to do. You're always imagining yourself in relationship as well. So you walk into the cafe and you imagine yourself in relationship with all these people and what all these people feel about you, and then you seek to give them the self-image that you want them to see you as. So you seek to try and behave in a way in which you'll be likable or friendly, or rather than there is this moment, the intimacy of what's happening, and there is response coming out, and you're being whatever you're being, and it's innocent. And that way of being is most probably habitual, but it's innocently happening. The separate self is watching itself once removed and very involved in itself. It always needs to be something. I need to be something. Hello. I'm realizing that I'm a little low. Hello. Hello. So that separate self is always imagining what it needs to be, what it should be, what it doesn't want to be, and it's always attempting to get to that. It's trying to be the perfect person. And what it does is the mind is free, and the mind imagines negative and positive situations, normally more negative situations, because the mind is a problem fixer. So it thinks, but if I go into the cafe and suddenly I bend over and my trousers split, this is going to be a disaster. So then you're paranoid about your trousers splitting. And the reason it does that is because our minds are designed to fix problems. Our minds are designed to find what the problem is and then fix it. So it begins to obsess about itself. And all the time, whenever these thoughts begin, they create feelings in the body. So there could be indifferent feelings, and then you see someone, you get paranoid about what they think of you, and then there is a seeking to rectify that. And then this seeking doesn't end. It keeps going, or it lasts for a long period of time. And it builds over years and years and gets more and more intense, dependent on the particular way you're set up, whether it's seeking to try to be the perfect person for everybody, seeking to never make a fool of yourself, seeking to always have enough money, seeking to be rich, seeking to have lots of things, seeking all types of things, and it obsesses about these things and continues and creates this story of you that was once removed from what's happening. Rather than the flow happening, so this moment expressing itself innocently. So when you walk into the cafe, rather than this once removed image of yourself in relationship to everybody, there is just response happening, just acting happening. And it's obviously coming from that particular conditioning, whatever way that body's conditioned. And I'm not saying it's going to be the perfect person. It's not going to be this perfect, enlightened person. It's going to be conditioned, and that conditioning will change and evolve and grow. But that's not the point. The point is this dropping into this moment, and in this moment it's really miraculous, because right here there is no divide between internal and external world. In this moment there is only wholeness, there is completion. It's only in time that this separation happens, and this energetic field, which gives the appearance of being inside a body and existing in time. And right here, this isn't happening for anyone. There is no one which this life is happening for. It's just happening freely. It's empty and full simultaneously. It's this empty looking and this I am. And freedom is coming back to that flow. And after the awakening, there is going to be patterns of old seeking energy that will come up and get acted out, but those will dissipate more and more in time. So there'll be old streams or old mind thoughts that come up that are very removed and distant, and those will dissipate. But it's this seeing that this is actually what you want. And that's how this shift happens, is by this real knowing beyond the person that home is actually here, and home isn't found in being the perfect person, in getting all these things. It's found right here, in the middle of everything. Even if you're going bankrupt and your partner's leaving you and your whole life is falling to bits, this moment is still free. This isn't a depressive thing. It's not a negative thing. It's not something for the person. So the person says, how can I be in the moment? Not realizing that the moment always is, and the person is involved in itself, and they're supporting, and what the person arises in is the moment. And the person's like, how do I do this? And it's off in time again. So it's not something that happens for you. But it's this dropping away for no one. And then life happens. And it's love. And then there is this natural flow to the human. And that again might take time to express itself after the awakening, this natural flow. Some old karmas or habits will come up, or be exposed. But there's this natural flow, and in this natural flow, the body is moved by these natural wants, not seeking energy, but these natural wants that are free. And life takes care of itself. If there is this flow happening and a focus on these natural wants, life works itself out. It's nobody's job or effort to do it. All that's left to be done is to let that flow happen. This is it, baby. I don't say that as much as I used to. This is it, baby. So what I look at with people is I look at the seeking energy and expose to them what's happening in the human world. And then I also point out the absolute. And when I'm pointing out the absolute, that you are this moment, that you are this freedom, that's a resonance that's happening. This remembering beyond the human. And then when I'm talking to the human side, it's the human looking at what it's doing and understanding what it's doing energetically and emotionally, that it has these thoughts of insecurity or fear come up. All seeking energy goes into two categories at the base of it: fear or lack. So lack of love, so seeking to get love, or seeking to avoid fear. So it always comes to these two categories when you nail it, when you take everything back. So on the surface, the seeking energy might be to make everyone think that you're super special in some way, and go into a restaurant wearing really fancy clothes and designer clothes and treating people in a certain way in order to get respect. So the seeking, that might be the seeking energy. But if you go deep into that, underneath it all, there is this sense of lack of love, that you're trying to seek to get love and feel fulfilled on the love level. It could also be fear, that in that situation you're afraid of people and you're seeking to avoid fear. So they're very close, those two. So it always comes down to those two dynamics, the seeking energy. So when I'm talking with people personally, I point out what the seeking energy is doing. So if they get caught in certain patterns, like certain mind loops, if they really dislike their job and they keep getting stuck in certain mind loops about a certain person at that job, we just examine what feeling is arising towards that person, and we allow that feeling to come up. So we acknowledge where it is. It will be in one of the chakra centers. It will be somewhere in the body. Sometimes people think their emotions are in their heads, but they're actually in the body. And you can feel them all over the body, like the chakras go all over the body, but their main areas are, well, they go all over the legs and the arms, but the main areas are in the torso. And we just identify it and make it more clear what's happening, so the person understands what it's doing, that it has thoughts about things and judgments about things, and then quickly there is a discomfort in the body, or there is an excitement maybe in the body, and then there is a seeking to try to fulfill it or to avoid it. And then the mind can get stuck on that. And we just examine that. We might also look at times that you felt it in the past. And then finally what we do to move it into the positive is we look at what that energy actually wants. Like, what is it that's actually wanted? So I want to be respected by my colleague. And then I try to encourage people to focus more on what they want rather than what they don't want or what they feel they lack. And this is inherently positive and will put you more into flow. And as you get more into flow, then there can be a resonance with this non-duality. When there's lots of seeking energy, there's very tight condensed energy in the body, and you feel very removed from this moment. As that personality begins to relax, then it can be heard that who you are is this. And this is endless. This isn't happening to a personality structure. This is happening to this immense force, creative force. And that's who you are, this creative force. You are not a limited entity. You are this creative force. It's so exciting. So you are that which the person appears in. So in your mind you might think, I came into this room I'm sitting watching Lisa on the TV, and later I will leave this room, and when I leave this room I leave the moment and I go into another moment. But actually that's all mind made, and that's not true. There is always this moment, and what's happening is thoughts and images about past and future are appearing in this, and that gives you the appearance that you're walking through a world. So right here, the fact that you walked in and sat down and are watching me is thought, and that thought manifests as an energy. But what's actually happening is there is this moment. And when you're walking into the room, there was this moment, and then there was a thought about leaving the hallway, coming into this room, and a future event. So there's always this moment with thoughts about past and future. You're not actually going into different moments. That's what gives the appearance of separation. You believe your imagination more than what's actually happening. Like, when does a moment end? When you go into a different room? But how? How does it end? It suddenly like cuts and then start. When you get in your car? When you drive to work? When you get to the office? When does that moment start and stop? Or is it always one moment, one consciousness and sense of I am, and in it appears images of past, that you were driving to work, that you woke up this morning, and then images of future, but actually you're always in this moment, and this moment is still and in movement. It's happening and it's not, and that's its freedom. The human suffers because it's always holding on to time. Where is the problem here? I'm sorry. I did some gas out of the mouth again. Everyone says it, because I thought to myself, do I let out so much gas when I'm in everyday life? And I don't think I do. I think it's something about talking a lot that makes me swallow air. Talking gives me gas. So this is another thing about the idea that you have doership and that you have free will. So this body is speaking now, but how's that happening? How is your hearing happening of me speaking? But if you start speaking now, if somebody rings you on the phone and you start speaking, how is that speaking happening? How are you doing it? Who is doing it? Like, it's so amazing, it's so immediate, it just comes out. Especially when you're like with friends and you're just laughing or chatting about something and it just is coming out. I mean, right now it's just coming out. And it's amazing. That's really miraculous, because it's got nothing to do with an individual entity. If it had something to do with you, you'd be able to say how you did it. How are you speaking? How are you hearing? Who is hearing? How are you bumping the heart and moving the blood around the body? How are you producing thoughts and images? The thoughts say it's me doing it. Me, 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 me. But how are you doing it? How did you make this body alive? How do you make it walk? When you're walking along, try to see how you're making it walk. The thoughts say, I want to walk because I want to go to work. And then it gives the appearance of a separate entity. But who's experiencing that person? That person comes and goes. It's not a solid thing. It just comes and goes and says, I am walking because I need to go to work, because I need to earn money and I need to hurry up. But how is that happening? Who's doing that? Isn't that miraculous? And who's experiencing it? So those thoughts feel like you, But notice there's something that's experiencing that. Those thoughts are being seen, like you see the world, like you see other people. There's something conscious of them, and who's that? Who's this silent witness? Silent witness. The same with the speaking. The speaking is being experienced, and who is experiencing that? I love this subject. Hey Lisa, I am here in this sacred moment with you. Hi Andrea. Hi Thomas. You can call me if you want. Thanks Thomas. I'm just going to say hello to people and then I'll come back to you. Hello Lisa. Hi Thomas. All these Thomases, 3 Thomases. So I've got Thomas B, Thomas N and Thomas N. Hey guys. Hey Thomases. Hey Julia. Oh nice. Thanks Julia. Yeah, that was so beautiful. A retreat. Hi Amy. Okay, I won't say it. Hi Fatima. Hi Nikhil. Hi Tim. Hi Isabel. Okay, so we will call Thomas. I just need to pop to the WC. Excusez-moi. S'il vous plaît. Agalili. Khaleesi is a little upset because there are these flies which stick to you at the moment. They're not like flies, they're like these insects and they just stick onto you. And they sit there, and this really freaks Khaleesi out. She's really upset by it. I'm laughing because she gets obsessed with her bottom when it happens. So the fly's on her, so I pull it off. And then she keeps getting obsessed with the bottom. I don't know why that happens. It's like a neurotic reaction. And so she keeps sniffing her bottom. I don't know why she does that, but it's not nice. I don't mean to laugh at her, but it's a funny response. So I know as soon as the flies are around because she's getting obsessed with her booty. Funny doggy. Okay, back on to Thomas. Let me call you. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Thomas. Just let me check all the audio's working. 1 second. Have you got headphones in?
Yes.
You got your headphones in. There is this feedback, but that's the way it is. We tried.
Okay. So can we start now?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay.
The Sermon of Thomas.
All right. So this week I have come to a conclusion about the spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a little disappointed. Now I'm seeing things differently because the conclusion is that I believe that this is this is bullshit. I mean, enlightenment doesn't exist. It's a lie or something. I don't know. It's bullshit to seek this. It's nonsense. It's absolutely illogical. There's no way of getting it. So I'm just wasting my time, and I'm so disappointed with this.
Yeah. You know that I just see all of this as mind stuff. Like, and I presume that you have these responses to other things in areas in your life.
Yes, but
So this is a habit of your mind. So your mind is producing thoughts, and the mind produces thoughts habitually. So I presume you have thoughts about this with other things in your life.
yes, but you are saying that the the desire to stop seeking is mind stuff, but isn't even the seeking mind stuff? The seeking is also mind stuff. The desire to find enlightenment is also mind stuff.
Yeah.
It's also bullshit.
But
I mean, I believe it's nonsense.
yeah.
I don't know. You can clarify if it's not nonsense, if it's good, or if it's.
But this is just total belief in your thoughts. So have you heard of the story of the Buddha and the Bodhi tree? That he sat under the Bodhi tree and heaven and hell presented itself. And how do you think heaven and hell presented itself? So Maya, it's called Maya, and it presented itself through wars, through lovers. The Buddha was a gentleman, so these virgin women. And the Buddha did not move. That's the way the story goes, for 40 days and 40 nights. And Maya produced every heaven and every hell that can be found in this world. And what do you think Maya was?
Maya maybe was the mind.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it so?
Yes. Well, they say illusion, but it's the mind that's creating the illusion.
It is the mind. Yes, it is the mind.
So now this is illusion. What your mind is saying. This is what's important. So you're off on a merry-go-round with the mind that's telling you that the enlightenment's bullshit and da 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 da, and then you're thinking about this and you're thinking about that, and what's important is what's happening. That's what all you seek for.
Yes, but I'm not really thinking a lot about this. What happened this week is that was the total disappointment of actually not being able to find anything called enlightenment, which means, what does that mean? Does it mean that I failed in trying to
No, this is just mind stuff. This is the same thing you'll go through with your girlfriend. It's the same thing you'll go through with your job.
Yes, but what happens is that I totally dropped the seeking. I'm not interested anymore in seeking enlightenment. I just dropped it. What happens is that I'm just physically, not mentally, not thinking, I'm literally physically relaxing, and it's better now. I'm not suffering because of lack of enlightenment. I'm happy because of it. So it's not, I don't believe it's just mind. I believe it's something good. I don't know. Maybe this is the truth. Because what is enlightenment? Basically, enlightenment is just an idea. I don't know what enlightenment is. How can I seek it? I have to stop seeking it. If I stop seeking it, then there is the possibility of maybe actually finding it. But it's not something that I can do. It's something that happens spontaneously. So it's nonsense to seek it, to try to achieve it, which is just a thought.
Yeah, but that's just a thought too. So it was just a thought as well that was like doing all this meditation and And it's like you're going
Yes.
round in circles. Like before you were like, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, dun 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 dun, I've made it. And now you're like, oh, hang on, nope, it's the other way. And it's all just mind. It doesn't matter your conclusion. Your conclusion arises and disappears in presence. What does matter though is the feeling underneath it. Like, so if your words are just empty now and it's just speaking happening, then it doesn't matter. But if you're attached to those words, then more than likely there's this feeling in the body that's uncomfortable. And that will keep going and producing a seeking energy. A seeking energy will keep arising.
And do I have to stop the seeking energy?
Oh. Sorry, the wind's very... I might have to go and shut the door. Do you have to stop the seeking energy? Just 1 second. Just let me go and shut the door. 1 sec.
Okay.
Oops. Do you have to stop the seeking energy? Well, that's a very philosophical question that's not answered easily, because who is this person that has to stop the mind? Like, who is that person? But the thing is you're just in a loop. So in the loop before, you were like, I've got this meditation. Now you're like, oh no, give it up. And then you'll get into another loop. And my job, or the best thing that I can do for you in this moment, is point out the feeling that you're trying to avoid, why these loops keep happening. So you can understand it and see when the loop's coming up, because a loop's coming up and it might be pleasurable now because you're saying, fuck it, ba 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 ba, and it's always nice when we have a F it moment. I've worked out the truth, we give it up. But just see that it's a loop of the mind that's trying to work something out intellectually.
I believe, because I don't know if I can agree completely with what you're saying, but what I believe is that I'm just forgetting about the idea of perfection that is called enlightenment. I'm just forgetting about it, and it will be good for me, or for
yeah, but
this
that's what you said. That's what you were saying last time when you were like, if I meditate this amount of time, it will be good for me. It's to say you're doing the same thing. This is what humans do. They just repeat the same patterns again and again and again. And every time they're like, yeah, this is the way. This is the way. And you were like this 2 or 3 weeks ago when we last spoke about something else, and the week before that about something else. Yeah, it's just mind. So just when the thoughts come up, recognize the feeling underneath. If there is a feeling underneath, and just drop it.
The feeling right now, you're saying?
Yeah.
But the feeling right now is not something bad, something good.
Okay.
I mean, the feeling right now is like something just relaxing and letting go of this idea of perfection.
Yeah. So, that's nice. If it's like that. But it's a loop. Right? It's a loop you're in again. It's just a relaxing one, and then tomorrow something else will happen, and then you'll be like, yana da da da, and the whole time this moment is here. This is what's happening. You're
saying that, but you are suggesting that life is a torture. Then it's just a mental loop, and we are stuck in this, so it's torture. I don't know.
I wasn't aware that I said the word torture or anything uncomfortable. I think that was you.
I know I'm interpreting. I know. But the way you're saying is that, okay, there's no way out, you are stuck in this, you are an illusion, you don't exist.
When did I say all that to you?
No, you didn't say.
So, but that's your interpretation.
Because that's how it feels when you say like that, because if I say, okay, I'm seeking...
Yeah, so you've just gone into your hopeless feeling. That's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Your hopeless feeling just came up. So you're on this hopeless, not hopeless, hopeless, not hopeless, and then I say this, and then your hopelessness comes up. So it's got nothing to do with what I actually say. That's to do with the feeling coming up.
Okay, but what are you actually talking about then?
Well,
what are you actually saying?
What I'm saying to you is that you're in a mind loop, and you've done this with me quite a few times before, and that what's important is this moment, and what your mind's saying isn't important. Because notice, as soon as I challenged it, you went into hopelessness. So more than likely that way of thinking was inspired by hopelessness, and you were trying to get away from hopelessness. So you came up with this new conclusion, and it felt pretty good, and you wanted to express it to me. But it will then flip back into the other, and then you'll find a new idea, and then it'll flip back into the other. And the whole time you're encouraging this whole dynamic of separation. This is what's important. Just recognize what's happening. Don't go running around, like sit still like the Buddha and the Bodhi tree. Don't keep jumping into the illusion. This is what's happening. I don't mean physically sit still. This is what's happening. Here, here, here.
Yeah, there's just silence. Yeah, I don't remember who I am, but there's just silence here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to remember who I am or not, but
no,
maybe I can just...
You don't have to do anything. You are who you are. The looking is happening. The I am is happening.
It's weird. I am who I am, but I'm not aware of myself. It's weird. I don't know. But maybe that's how life is. It is so painful to not know who I am.
Who you are is the closest sense of being. It's the closest thing there is. It's that which looks in the I am. The mind is looking in things, in objects, in thoughts, in behaviors, in something.
Yeah, so maybe who I am is this deep sense of relaxation or eternal relaxation or stillness or whatever.
You don't need to name it. It's nameless. It's right here. It's that which is looking in the I am. That which looks at the person that comes up and says, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that, maybe I need to get here, maybe I need to get there. It's right here.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah. And then this has natural way of moving, this natural flow.
Is it true that it has its natural expression if I allow it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It feels like love.
I have experienced sometimes spontaneity, but I don't know if it actually happens. I don't know. Spontaneity, no.
I wouldn't even bother thinking about it. It will happen.
It would be cool if it happened. And I know you said that this is just a mind loop, but I can't resist asking this question.
Yeah.
So if you allow me, I'll ask this question. All these people, all these seekers, the thousands, the millions of seekers, all these monks and spiritual seekers, aren't they just wasting their time trying to achieve something that it's impossible to achieve? Is it just a waste of time, all this seeking?
No.
What do you mean by no?
It's the perfect expression of life.
but they are not wasting their energy, their time, or whatever. I mean, if they just, I don't know.
No, it's the perfect expression of life. It couldn't be any other way. And sometimes that seeking for it has to happen. That's what happened here. The seeking and the looking and the understanding. And in that, then, the person begins to crumble.
But then after some time of seeking, there is this stage when the person totally drops the seeking and just lets go of it because of the failure. And then maybe it happens. When the person stops the seeking, like Osho said, the moment I stop seeking, it happened. Nityananda said, the moment I stopped seeking, it happened. Many people who are considered to be enlightened have said that when the moment they stop all the seeking,
the stop happens. It's not you that does it. So now the people are like, okay, I'm going to be there, I'm going to stop seeking, but they're not stopping seeking. They're just like in despair and hopelessness, sitting at home.
Yes, that's true. I tried that also when I heard the master saying, yes, if I just stop, it happens. So I tried to stop.
The thing is with you, Thomas, is that you've got a big tendency towards this disempowerment thing, and this is what your story is often going to be about.
Yes, I agree with that because of my personal storyline.
Yeah, so you've got to be careful not to use anything that you hear from spiritual teachers and seekers, either one, to encourage that side of you.
As the mind does that automatically, but I'm very careful today. I'm more careful. I believe I don't know, I'm just scared. Yesterday I was watching this video. Rupert Spira was talking to a woman, and then he said in the end of the video, I would recommend forgetting about enlightenment. He said like this to the woman, and it felt that this is the only way, just to forget about the enlightenment and just live and relax, to not think about enlightenment. Maybe it's my mind loop, but
yeah, it is a mind loop. So tell me, what would you do if you forgot about enlightenment?
I would just completely relax, because you know what? When I think about enlightenment, what I'm doing is like I meditate, and then I get to a peaceful state, and then I say, okay, this is not it yet. I'm not perfect yet.
So you would completely relax. Your mind wouldn't start thinking about something else, like about getting job or like a girlfriend or problems in this or problems in that.
Yes, the mind thinks naturally about this, but with enlightenment, there is a absolute obsession. That's the problem. Because of the obsession has to stop. It could be with anything else. It could be an obsession with a girl or with an activity or with whatever, or with drugs. It could be the obsession is the problem. It's not really the attachment or the thinking. It is the obsession, I think, is the problem.
So tell me, where do you forget about enlightenment? Where do you forget about life?
Why would I do that?
No, where is it? How do you forget about things?
It happens, but if you let me try to explain if you want. Well, there's just the effort to constantly hold on to an idea of perfection called enlightenment. There's this effort, this mental effort to hold on to this idea, to imagine this idea in the future. Oh, I need to get there. So if I meditate today and I get into a state which is not that yet, which is, I'll say this is not enough, I'm not enlightened yet. So I'm constantly thinking about something that I have to achieve in the future. This is an effort.
Whereas enlightenment is about this moment, is about what's happening. It's about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is where the forgetting is. This.
Exactly, that's true. Because usually when I think about enlightenment, or when people think about enlightenment, it's not the actual enlightenment. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
It's a misunderstanding. It's not the truth. It's a misunderstanding.
That that your mind does prior to the idea of enlightenment, and will carry on doing after the idea of enlightenment. But this is the freedom. So what you can practice is moving your attention back into this. And when it's uncomfortable, when your body's too uncomfortable for that, explore what's happening in the body and look to see what
Yes,
it is
I'm
you
doing
want.
that. I'm doing that. You told me, I believe you suggested the other day for me to know my body, right?
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing that. I changed my meditation because yes, I dropped it. I stopped thinking about the goal or the achievement of enlightenment, but I'm still meditating.
Yeah.
I'm not obsessed, but I'm still meditating, which is, I believe it's healthy. So I changed my technique, because my technique was other techniques like watching the breath and stuff, but I changed it, and now it's just to keep the awareness of my body, just keep the attention in the body, in the whole body, and feeling all the parts of the body, and it works way better than other techniques. So I'm actually getting more in touch with the reality of my body. So I don't know about.
So what's important? What's the most important thing?
In what sense? In what context? What?
The most important part of what I'm communicating to you is this moment. This is where the freedom is. So not anything that you're thinking about and going around thinking about and your mind spinning on. This is what's important.
Yeah, and I believe that's your confirmation that my idea of enlightenment is wrong, is not true. And it doesn't mean that I have to come to a right conclusion. It just means that whatever I think about enlightenment is not true, is wrong, because I don't know what it is. How can I come to a conclusion about it?
Yeah.
I have to stop thinking about it.
Okay,
I have to
enough
stop thinking
now.
and relax.
I've had enough. Your mind is going in loops and loops and loops. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Yes. This is it. Your mind is just looping. This is it. So your mind is looping more than likely because there's a discomfort in your body. So find that discomfort and do the work. This is what's important.
Yeah. And about the discomfort in the body, maybe you know better than me about chakras, and I have an issue. Could you clarify about a chakra for me?
Yeah.
Because I have a problem. You know, I made a mistake some years ago, and I will write it down for you because I don't want to expose myself in the internet. I'll just say what I did. I did this. Look. A moment.
I can't see it, I don't think, while we're... Oh yeah, I can.
I sent you. Did you receive the message?
I can't see
just
it
don't
when
read
I'm in
it.
this.
Ah, you can see it?
I don't think so.
Okay, anyway.
Oh yeah.
Look. Wait a sec. Did you read it?
Yeah.
Okay. You know this is very dangerous, right? So what happened is that I believe because I did that, it forcefully opened my third eye, what I believe to be the third eye. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of problems because of that. I'm still struggling with that because it's fucking, there's just this intense sensation in my forehead or in my head.
Mm-hmm. So just move your attention down to the base chakra then.
To where?
Base chakra.
Like in the belly?
Base chakra. The one that's below the groin.
Okay.
So when you're getting the pain in the head, just move the attention down to that one.
And then the pain will... It's not a pain, it's just a strong sensation.
There's just too much energy there.
Yes, and I feel negative stuff also, like literally negative stuff, fearful stuff like that, scary stuff I feel.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, okay, so I have to meditate on the forehead. I have to keep my attention on the head, but it's better to be keeping on the base.
Move it down. You can keep the attention there a little bit, but I would move it down into your body.
Okay, and do you think it's dangerous to focus on the third eye or to meditate on the third eye? Because some people say it's dangerous to do it because it can, I don't know. I believe it's dangerous to forcefully open the third eye.
Yeah, I would just
But
move your attention down to the base chakra. But see how you're compulsively talking. Where do you think, like, and you speak very fast. Why do you think that's happening?
because I
So
have
no,
some.
can I? I'm just going to answer it for you because I don't want you to go on a spin again. So,
Okay.
so the reason that it's happening is because there's fear in your body. So these are all things that you have to do by yourself.
Yeah.
So you're trying to relieve your fear through this conversation. Like
Yeah.
so just come back to your body. So enough now of the speaking.
Yes.
Because I can feel that you're trying to let it out in this conversation. Just put your attention
Yes.
gently down into your body.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna release my emotions because I have a lot of emotional issues and all that.
It's okay. It's okay. Just keep putting your attention into your body. And this is it. This is it.
Okay, I hope that works.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. Lots of love to you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See, this is the power of the mind. Is it manages to take over, like it keeps looping and looping and looping. And Thomas's was a little bit exaggerated tonight, but that's the same as everybody's mind. It's just other people's minds may be more grounded and slower at the moment, and they keep coming up. It's about this. The reason I'm unhappy is this. The reason is this. The problem is this. This is the answer. This new teacher. This new way. I'm going to do this. And none of that's it. That's all mind. That's all illusion. That's Maya. This is what's happening. And the reason the mind keeps circling like that is because there's a discomfort in the body. So there's something in the body that's uncomfortable. These thoughts are happening and it's either trying to run away from fear or get love. But there's somewhere in your body where you're uncomfortable. So notice, pay attention to why all these thoughts are arising. Allow the feeling to be and then ask, what is it I really want to hear? I want to be safe. I want to be free. And focus on that. And as you focus on that, you'll begin to feel more relaxed, and then it can be seen that this is who you are. This is the freedom. Your mind is just this endless machine. This problem, this problem, no, this problem, this, blah, 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 blah. Hi Lisa, this is from, oh no, your name, Nlichi. Hi Lisa, I have a few questions. When there's a feeling, an unconscious pull towards avoiding the present moment, because reasons, and it feels like fear, uncomfortable pull again, to do something that will occupy or distract or kill mind, what to do? Second question. So I would explore the fear. So see that there's fear and that you're looking for things to do. Find where it is in the body and what is it that you really want. Ask yourself that and try to move to what it is you really want. So I want freedom, or I want safety, I want to feel loved. And just move your attention into that. And then when you do that, when your energy begins to pick up again and you're not in such an uncomfortable place, see that this moment is. And if you find that you do something to avoid it, that's okay. That's what happens. That's the way it is. Second question, when I feel a hole in the front center of my chest, where the heart is but close to the center, like someone just shot a cannonball through me, it burns, feels like chill, and mostly associated with fear. What is it really? What can one do with it? So just put your attention into that feeling. So if the heart is uncomfortable, just allow it to be there, welcome it in. And you can explore a little, so you can ask questions. Like, what is the feeling here? What is it that I want? What is it that I don't want? What am I trying to avoid? Do I remember this feeling from when I was younger? And then say, what is it I want? I want to feel connected. I want to feel loved. I want to feel intimate. I want to feel part of something. And allow yourself that. Know by moving to what you want rather than what you don't want, it will begin to happen. So trust that. And as it begins to become more balanced, see that who you are is right here in the center of everything. It is. You are. Hey Lisa, can we talk? Yeah, sure. Just let me have a look, see who's here. Hi, Sources. Hi, Kevin. Nice to hear from you. Hi, Maria. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Lisa. You're amazing. I can relate with you like no other speaker and almost like my master. With listening to you and even just looking at you, I will be back to the present moment, back to what is, and any other thoughts just vanish. Stillness and deep silence come. Thank you very much for sharing these words, talks, and moments. Just a quick question arises. Is it alright to listen to two masters at the same time? You're talking about one thing and it's obvious for me, but just somehow different in details, I can say. I don't see it as a problem. I actually think it's good to listen to maybe a couple of different people, as long as you are able to hear it from those different angles and don't use it to battle against each other. But I think it's good to hear it from other angles because this stops you getting stuck on one way. not like 20 different teachers or 30 different, but just a couple, and it stops there being a stuckness on one way. It makes the mind open. Free will or not. Being hi Julio, being aware that the mind has no interference in the actions and everything happening. Isn't our past condition interfering in how things unfold? Is that or not an interference in what happens in every moment? How to assure the mind has no role in it? No, so the tree is set up on past conditions, the bird is set up on past conditions. It's like our genetics and our habits are programmed, like the bird is programmed to be its certain way, and it sort of came through time, it evolved through time, even though it's always happening spontaneously, it seemingly evolved through time. So that's not the problem. We've all got our unique ways of being, and you're never going to have a blank slate, because you're always going to take on new ways of being. You can't ever be like a zombie with like no ways of being. But it's the attachment to them, the attachment to that, and saying that's who you are. So often we think that we've got to get rid of conditioning, but we can look at conditioning and we can relax it, but it's actually the letting go of the person. And I advise it, like I still do it, I still relax conditioning and karmas and look at any stuck thought beliefs or limiting thought beliefs. But that's never ending. But it's the attachment to that person. Who you are is this moment. It's that attachment that keeps trying to find freedom in time, because it feels limited, but its very self is what makes it limited, and then it keeps trying to find that freedom in time. Hi Lisa, so important to know that there are these 2 appointments each week. Thanks so much, Lisa. With pleasure, Edith. When I was a seeker, I used to go and visit Ramesh in Bombay, and I was just so grateful that every day he did these talks and that I could visit by donation. And so this is my way of doing what Ramesh did, but it's the new online way. I'm not opposed to people coming to these talks live, although it's I'd have to sit behind or something. But I used to just be so grateful for that continuity. Hey Bia. Hi Renate. Hi Isabel. Beautiful pictures. I love all the colours. Yes, we can speak, Tim. I will call you now. Hey,
Hi.
Tim.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
Is sound okay?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, first of all, thanks for offering this.
My pleasure.
I think I turned the camera off. If this is okay.
Yeah, this is fine. If you want it on or off, it's up to you.
Okay, thanks. Off. Okay, thanks. So, did I say already that I'm very grateful that you're offering this service?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You're becoming like me, that's what I'm like. Apparently I'm a great friend because I always forget the stories that somebody's told me, so they can tell me repetitively and I don't notice.
Okay. A few weeks ago, I got hit with this insight that I'm going to die. I don't know. Well, not physically. It was just clear that something's changing. Yeah. But I still have quite a lot of fears because yeah, I'm kind of stuck in my living situation as a student, and yeah, my decision making is quite decision making abilities does not really work. I'm just running in circles, and yeah, I just I just let it happen.
Yeah. And so the fear is particularly about your living situation.
Yeah. Well, not not graduating. Not yeah, money running out and things like that.
Yeah. And what does the body feel like when you start thinking those thoughts?
I think it's tension all over the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there anywhere that's more sore than others? Like, is there anywhere where it feels more uncomfortable?
I think in the chest or solar plexus area.
Yeah. So what's the worst case scenario? That you could end up homeless, without a job, living on the street? Like, what's your worst?
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's it.
I think it's unlikely in Germany. You're German, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
right.
it's unlikely because I think they have good social care. I might be wrong.
Yeah, that's right. But
that's the worst case scenario in the mind, is that you'll end up on the street without a job, you'll be powerless, you won't be able to recover.
Yeah.
And if that thought's appearing a lot during the day, so every time you spend money, or every time you have to pay a bill, or every time you go to a class, that's quite intense to carry around. So the first thing I'd say is this is most probably hereditary. I know that sounds bizarre, but you most probably picked this up from your parents. So this is a mind dynamic, and maybe you are being pushed to the max, in the sense that maybe it is true that you're at the limit financially, and you're at the limit mentally of passing the test. So I don't know how true or how real that is. Sometimes it's not true at all, but still the mind plays those things. But it's still a habit. It's just that maybe now in your life it's being pushed to the max because you're at the edge. But it's a habit that lies in your body from your parents. So it's a way of thinking and seeing things that have come from your parents, and also from your society, but predominantly from your mum and dad's relationship to money, or whoever brought you up, if it was somebody else. And just acknowledge that. So you don't have to do it now, but when you're by yourself, look to see what the relationship was when you were growing up. So see what you were taught around money. And this is the way that I see life. You don't have to see life this way, but the way that I see it is that you get what you want. So if you want something, then it will come. It always has happened in my life. And sometimes we're wanting the wrong things. We're putting the energy on the wrong things. So we're putting the energy on going broke rather than wanting money. So what you have to do is you have to transform that energy. So that energy is coming up and saying that you're going to be poor, or it's going to go wrong. And you have to feel it, acknowledge it, and then say what it is that you want, and trust that when you acknowledge what you want, it will begin to happen. And you can imagine anything. You don't have to limit yourself. And what it will do is, when you are on the right path, so when it is what you want, it will pick up your energy. So your vibration or your energy field will feel more positive. So if you were to say, I want $1 million, or I want to feel financially secure, whatever it is that you want, just forget about the fears and forget about the worries. I want to pass with flying colours. And then you've got to have the feeling to go with it. So you've got to try and move that feeling towards it. So I want this money, I want this, and all these things that you want. And you don't have to put any cap on yourself. You can just wish for whatever it is your heart desires. And when that habit comes up to worry about things, keep moving it back to what you want. So, and at first it'll feel like a struggle, because your energy is used to being negative and saying what you don't want and pushing these things away. And so at first it will be a bit of a struggle, but it will be very nice when you acknowledge what you want and when you really begin to get into that flow. And it will begin to happen. You put it out there and it will begin to happen. If your energy feels that, if your vibration feels that, so if it's the heart's desire, if it's really what you want, and if you keep acknowledging it, it will begin to happen, and you can just trust that it will begin to happen. And you can just totally trust the magic of life, because life is really magical. We think it's really logical, but it's not at all. It's all vibration and energy, and it's all a projection of a brain, which is projected by this mysterious force, which is who you are. Who you are is the most powerful being. It's the creator of everything. And once your vibration picks up and that you get more into the flow of what you want, then you can begin to say, I am, this is. And you can see that you're present, that this is present. That it's that dark energy which is sucking you into the timeline, which is sucking you into identification and seeking in time. How does that feel when I say that? And don't worry if it feels safe. That's good. Yeah. If you have any negative feelings, you're welcome to say them. But yeah, if it feels, and you can totally trust yourself. Like, totally trust the magic of this life. You know, as a child, normally most people are most happy when they're a child, because the child really trusts its magic and its wonder and its imagination. And then we get into this bizarre way of thinking that we're taught, that life is like this, that we've got to fight life, that we've got to fight for money, and that's not the case. You just have to follow the flow of love. It's very simple, and it will work out. And you don't have to follow that fear line that everyone's teaching you. And you can really trust it. You can really begin to feel home in yourself. And as you begin to feel home in yourself on the personal level, then this bigger home begins to reveal itself. This infinite freedom. And you can do it with everything. You can do it with relationships. And as you begin to do it, as you begin to focus on what you want, you'll begin to realize how your mind has been pushing things away. And that's what you've been doing in your life. Like, you've been pushing situations or pushing people away by focusing on what you don't want. It will really psychologically clean you up and you'll understand yourself a lot better. But you've got to understand your body, and you've got to rely on your body to work this stuff out more than the mind. So it's like you think about what is it that I want, and then you see what's happening in the body. And as you think of something, so I want money, if the body begins to feel positive energy, then that means that it's true. And you can allow that vibration, and just allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to have money. And you don't have to spend the next 40 years of your life slaving and working super hard just to pay the bills. This isn't the way to live. You just have to focus on what it is you want and allow it to come. Most people are they're so worried about money that they're constantly pushing it away. Like there's this one lady who I was paying for a service. That sounds very dodgy, but I don't want to speak about people on the internet. So I was paying for a service, and I wanted to offer her more money, and she refused it. She refused she kept getting confused. Like I was saying, keep the change, basically. Like I gave her a big note, like it was say 50 euros, and I gave her 60 or 70 euros, and I just said keep the change. And then I hear her moaning about money and complaining that she hasn't got enough money, and when it's being given to her, she refuses it. Maybe I made her feel ashamed or embarrassed. I don't know what it is. But it's there. You just have to be open to it. Trust that this world is made of love and not made of that fear and that negativity.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I would like to address another thing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I have quite some problems with intimacy.
Yeah.
And I used to feel quite lonely, but I suppressed this, and in the past this became quite clear, but also I feel less lonely because because it's just more peaceful, and and it's that it's just I think that I'm it's just this constant feeling that I'm a fraud, and so that I cannot open to another person, open up to another person, and or they just I think people they just wouldn't want to see me because I'm I was kind of quite depressed, and so I'd rather play a role so I could socialize. Such things.
Yeah. I think it's really beautiful that you're understanding this stuff about yourself. So your goal is to focus more on thoughts, to saying I want intimacy, then intimacy won't come to me because of this or because of that. So I want intimacy. True intimacy is this moment, being totally vulnerable to this moment. Like the true intimacy is what's happening now. And it's not a human thing. It's not that two humans are close. But on the human level, we do have intimacy. But true intimacy is everything that's happening now. There is no aloneness on the absolute level. There is nobody that's alone. And true intimacy is the sounds that are happening. Because where is the distance between you and that sound? Where is the distance between you and what you see? You and what you feel? That's true intimacy. And then on the human level, we have intimacy as well, which is beautiful. And just begin to focus more on the positive thoughts than the negative thoughts. So more on not the positive thoughts as in like, I like this, I like that, or this is good, or this is... But I want intimacy, I want to share with someone. I want to feel appreciated and loved. And focus on that rather than what you're not. That you're not like this in a situation. Because you're allowed to get what you want. Like you're allowed to have that. And it might be that your current friends and your current relationships aren't actually what you want. Maybe they don't want intimacy. Maybe their game is pushing people away and staying on the more phony level. So focus and really acknowledge that you're allowed that. You're allowed to have friends that are more deep or sensitive and vulnerable, that maybe speak about this subject with you, and it will begin to present itself. But it's allowing yourself these things. We're often pushing everything away. And then remembering that true intimacy is this moment. It's the sound of my voice. Like that's so intimate. Where's the distance between you and my voice? It's really one voice speaking. Where's the distance between you and the computer? Like the distance comes when you say, I'm inside the body watching the computer, but that's not true. The computer is happening in you. It's so close. The room is happening in you. The world is happening in you.
Oh, thanks.
With pleasure. When I was younger, I never had the confidence, when I was at school or in my late teens, to actually say what it was I wanted from people. And I just saw the lack of what I wasn't getting, rather than focusing on what it was I actually wanted and giving myself permission to want things. I used to think that was mean, or it excluded people, or it said people weren't good enough. And it wasn't at all. It's that we've all got our flow, and that you're allowed that flow. You're allowed that to happen. And I wish that somebody had told me that, because I didn't fit in, like I suppose a lot of people that are into this subject, with a lot of my peers. And I was also lucky because I went to Buddhist center and I put myself in situations with alternative people, but I didn't focus on what it is I wanted. Like I just didn't think I was allowed that. And so I just saw the ways in which I couldn't fit into their particular game, and didn't see that I was allowed to want something else.
Okay, thank you.
With pleasure. With pleasure. I like your stillness, like you give me space. I like it when people give space when you're having a conversation.
Thanks, I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe see you or hear you anytime soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Camilla. Aloha. Hey, Lisa. Thank you for your talks. I love the way you allow things to be, the way you give space to everything. Thanks, Ben. Hey, Vadiost. Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. Hi, Lisa. I must book a one-to-one with you as soon as I can buy headphones. So do I book it on your webpage? Yeah, you book it on my webpage. I'm going to my first retreat in August with Roger, so I need a prep session before I go. Can you talk about the first awakening we can expect and how it manifests? Thanks, Sean. Love listening to you. The first awakening. Everyone can have really individual and unique awakenings, and they can be so different. Sometimes people don't even notice they've had awakenings. But when I talk about awakenings, I generally mean this energetic shift from being inside the body, experiencing the world, to everything. So some people can refer to it as awakening and seeing that there is something looking beyond you. Sometimes it can be an intellectual awakening. It's all these different ones. So it's not obvious then. It can be hugely obvious, but it's unique to each particular person as to what happens. So it can be really big, it can be really subtle. But I wouldn't focus on that too much. I would focus on more what's happening in that experience now. Like, who's thinking that? Who's experiencing those thoughts about what the awakenings are like? And where is that person that thinks it's experiencing it? Who are you? Thanks, Sean. Wonderful, Lisa. You help me see what I want to nurture that I love. With pleasure, Tim. Hi, Amy. Thanks for sending that message again, Amy. You worked it out. But sometimes I miss. I did see your message, but then I called or something happened where I got distracted. Hi, Lisa. My partner does not understand this journey. He is at best tolerant and at worst he's resistant. I don't talk about it with him anymore as both our egos get into the way. I feel increasingly disconnected. We have 2 little children, and on a practical level our lives are great, but we don't see me, but he doesn't see me. How can I feel more connected? Hey, Amy. Well, sometimes things end. I'm not saying that this is the end of your relationship, but sometimes things end. And that's the way it is. But it could also be that you see connection as something that 2 people do. which they do on the human level. So it's ideal to have a partner which you can connect with on the human level. But ultimately, true connection is this moment, is what's happening right here. Maybe if you shift your energy towards him, he will shift, but maybe not. And sometimes things do end or transform into something else. So what you could look at is what you're expecting him to be. Like, are you keeping him in your brackets of who you expect him to be? Are you giving him the permission to change and be different? Are you giving him the permission to see things differently? Like, when you go into a conversation, do you expect him to respond a certain way? When you have a conversation with him, are you trying to change him or trying to get him to see something from your perspective or wanting to have a particular outcome? These are good places to start. Yeah, so like interaction with anyone is a two-way thing. It's not just him. So when you argue with someone, when you have a disagreement with someone, you might be able to say it's their fault because they reversed the car into the bin and then we argued. But when you argue and when you interact, it's these particular energies coming together and it becomes one energy. And it becomes like a third person, like your relationship together, like a third person. There's you and there's him, and then mixed together these two energies, that becomes this third. So we're not only communicating intellectually, we're also communicating energetically. So I don't know if you saw what happened earlier when I was speaking to Thomas. There was an energetic exchange between us, and then suddenly I didn't want to really interact anymore. I could tell you what the interaction was, but he had a particular energy, and I could feel it energetically. It wasn't just his words. I could feel this energy that he was speaking, and I didn't want that energy, so I said no, and then we shortly after ended the conversation. But this is happening all the time. Before you even go to your husband, he can feel your energy. He might not even be conscious of it. So if you go to him wanting to change him, or wanting to hear a certain reaction from him, then he can already energetically feel it, and then he maybe feels triggered into feeling not good enough in that. And then you're actually arguing about non-duality, but you're on the surface level you're arguing about non-duality or this subject, but deeper you're arguing about something else. You're arguing about your core issues, that you feel not understood and he feels not understood. And it's not actually about the surface argument. So if you change your energy towards him, he might surprisingly change as well. So if you go to him with different energies, when he doesn't get what I'm talking about, I feel frustrated and then I withdraw and get distant. But why should he get what you're talking about? Why should anyone get what you're talking about? You don't own anyone. You don't own him. He's allowed to not get what you talk about. How do I change my energy? It's through understanding what it is that you want. What is it that you want when you go and speak to him about it? When you go and speak to him about any subject, what is it that you want from him? Understand what's going on and understand if you're seeking from him. None of us, it's so rare in our society that people take care of their energy when interacting with someone, because we're not only communicating through words, we're communicating through energy. I want to be seen, but that's not his job to see you, Amy. That's your job. That's unfair to expect him to do that. And that's seeking energy. That's a seeking energy to want to be seen, because then that makes you feel loved, whereas who you are is love. And you're not seeing him for who you are, you're trying to get something from him. And this goes on in our conversation. So even if you say to him, hey, have you had a good day? It can be this energy that's pushing him, and then that will trigger him. Or maybe then he withdraws, or he gets angry or frustrated, and then this dance begins. You're responsible for what you feel. You're responsible for your energy. On the ultimate level, you're not. It's a happening. But when you're human, you feel like you can choose things and do things. And on the human level, you're responsible for what you feel. And no one is here to complete your seeking energy. No one's here to complete it. You might find, though, that once you change yourself, that still the energy is not working, and it's okay to eventually walk away if it's not. But just pay attention to yourself first of all, and then see what happens. I see that, thank you. Oh, with pleasure, Amy. It can be hard to hear sometimes because we're so used to this brainwashing by society where we're taught in such bizarre ways that other people are responsible for our happiness, our safety, our enjoyment, and we fail to see them for what they are, and we begin to see them for what they give us. And on one level, as humans, we are in this exchange, but this is a different thing. This is a seeking energy. So we are in an exchange, so you're not going with him to be in constant pain and his energy being constantly negative or depressive. So there is an exchange happening, but he's not responsible to give you all these things. You have to take care of that himself, and then when you take care of it and you see that happiness and that love and that completion comes inside of you, then you'll begin to see him fully for what he is, and then you'll begin to really feel whether he's at the right vibration for you or not on the human level. No partner is there. How to take care of it, though? Well, you're doing all the right things. You're listening to these talks, you're reading about it, you're learning, and it's about investigating and understanding yourself and seeing that you have feelings coming up that are looking for completion in time. So you start having thoughts about something he did or didn't do, and then you have feelings coming up. And just examining that and seeing if they're true. And seeing that love is your nature. And it's good if you can get in contact with someone that can point these things out clearly to you. You can book a session with me, you can call in on these talks, you can go on retreats with me or with other people, or book sessions with other people. There's loads of online videos, but try and get people to point this stuff out, because often you don't want to see it for yourself. When you begin to see the benefit of it, you'll begin to see it more quickly yourself. When you begin to see that love is your nature, this is all you ever look for, this moment. It doesn't mean, though, I'm not saying in any way put up with somebody that's treating you really badly. That's not what this is saying. This is actually pointing you to be with somebody that treats you really beautifully, actually. He's not treating me badly, it's me that's withdrawing. Yeah. And then that will have an effect on him. Really becoming honest with yourself, with your body. What does your body say? So when you start telling a story about him or wanting to tell him something, what's your body feeling? Is your body feeling tight or contracted or uncomfortable? If it is, then it more than likely means that you're in seeking energy. If it feels expansive and love and full of love, then it's more than likely that you're acting from your natural flow. And when you interact with someone from your natural flow, it's surprising the difference that it has on that person. So, really pay attention. What's my body saying now? Like when you begin a conversation with him. Yeah, so when you're beginning a conversation with him and you're already tight and contracted, you can't help it that you're trying to relieve that tightness and that contraction. And it might be relieving it by blaming him, by picking an argument, by trying to get him to do something. And that's not going to work. Because that tightness and that contraction really got nothing to do with him. It's the belief that you are this person and that happiness comes from time, that freedom comes from time. Thank you, Amy. Thanks. Hi, Sean. I used to have strong negative feelings of contraction in the solar plexus. It's gone now and I feel good. Is this a mark of spiritual advancement? This is certainly a mark of the person becoming more balanced. Whether you want to call that spiritual advantage or not, or advancement or not, it doesn't really matter what you call it. Why is the person wanting to know about that? Like what is the person trying to get from these questions? When you say who is talking, looking, etc., I've looked inside and found no one, but the questions still come to me. Is this from the working mind or the thinking mind? That's not the way I speak. I don't speak of it like the working mind or the thinking mind. You need to ask that to Roger. I know you've got that from Roger. Okay, I don't look at it like that, so I'm just going to ignore that last sentence. I've looked inside and found no one, but the questions still come. Yeah, so the questions still come, but see that they're coming in silence. See that they're coming in silence, that there is this stillness that they're appearing in, that something's experiencing it that's never moved. And when the thoughts are coming, if they're bombarding you, look in the body and see if there's a discomfort. See what the thoughts are doing, and if there's a discomfort, then it's more than likely that that energy is coming from seeking. Okay guys, that's enough. I can see that there's some people writing more questions, but it's enough. It's enough. I've been talking a long time. So thank you very much. It's beautiful to share with you, and I will share with you again on Sunday, 6 p.m. French time. And if you want to join any of my classes or sessions or retreats, then you can find the links below or on that eye in the side of the screen. I send you lots of love. Thank you very much. Bye.